Welcome to In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. And the 2024 Cincinnati Bengals football season is underway. Today, the official opening of Bengals training camp. Dave Lapham was there. I just haven't had a chance to get down there too, thanks to First Star Logistics. But Lap, not a lot happens early on in camp, but it was great to see guys out there in the helmets, on the field, throwing the football around and doing different drills, getting back to the basics.
Absolutely, Dave. Basics is the key word. It was the most basic of basics today. So, just first time offense going against defense, maybe at a little bit higher tempo. And, it's another step that they're taking. There's a lot to be installed. They have installed quite a bit. And the young guys right now, as always, their heads are swimming. They're not going to slow the bus down or stop the bus for the young guys to get on board. The young guys are going to have to do their due diligence, their homework, and all that sort of thing on their own time and make sure that they catch up. Nobody's going to be waiting for them. But as far as the veterans are concerned, it's like it was basic, so there was no challenge to what's been installed at this point in time. So, that's the biggest thing when you've got, new players, either veteran free agents or, kids coming out of college, either drafted or free agents. There's that adjustment period for them. A couple of guys that didn't make the dance today, Cam Taylor-Britt had his tonsils removed. So he'll probably be out until, I was talking to him in the locker room a little bit. He said probably maybe Sunday is when he's anticipating that he'll be able to return to action. You mentioned Trent Brown is on the active non-football injury list with tightness in his leg. So they're just that's a day-to-day thing. He could appear at any point in time, I think. Eric All is also on the non-football injury list. So there are well over 80 players there, though, about 85 players, I guess, when these three are right around that kind of a number, when these three guys are taken out of the mix. But it was when you watch it, though, I really enjoy watching a guy like T. Higgins, because this guy's working to get his football legs back, and that's what you're doing right now. You got to get your legs back, and when you're training and running sprints and that sort of thing, it's a lot different than running routes and changing speeds, decelerating, accelerating in and out of cuts, everything that goes along with it. There's football conditioning. This is going to be the beginning of that football conditioning thing. And T was saying after practice that he's working to get his football legs back. Joe Burrow was very pleased with how he threw the deep ball. He thought he was really strong on the deeper throws. T. Higgins mentioned a deep ball that he threw to him that it was like, whoa, couldn't catch up with that thing, man. I mean, Joe's definitely rocked up. He said he's between 250 and 220 pounds right now. So all that work is done well. He mentioned too that something clicked with him after the individual drills today in the morning, and he wasn't real specific about it. He said he needs to, follow up on it, try to advance it. But good news that maybe he found something that's going to be instrumental in his performance physically this year. But he's in the process of listening to his body more. He is not overdoing things, and I think that he mentioned that. Like this week and next week, there are practices 3 days in a row. He is not going to throw 3 days in a row. He worked today. He'll work tomorrow. Friday he won't throw as much. They'll really back him off. So, and Zach Taylor mentioned the same thing, that he's going to be in control of that to make sure that things aren't overdone, and he's going to be ready for the regular season, not just day one of training camp.
Yeah, prior to the start of practice, thanks to First Star Logistics, I was able to attend a luncheon for those who have suites and so forth and VIPs, and got to eat some good food that they're going to have in the suites this year, but also got the chance to listen to Duke Tobin. He did a Q&A with your good friend and partner and friend of In the Trenches, Dan Horde, and then he also took some questions from those in attendance. And Duke Tobin, was very high on Eric All, what the future will bring to Eric All once he gets on the football field. He did talk about Trent Brown being some tendonitis in his ankles, or his ankle. And but he didn't seem too concerned about it. And Dave, you've talked about it multiple times. Amarius Mims If you went to a chalkboard and say, draw me up the prototype tackle for the NFL, Amarius Mims would be that guy. I've scouted enough kids from the high school level through college, offensive lineman. He passes the eyeball test, and I was really glad to see him getting the number of reps he got today. But I guess the concern with Trent Brown is just the fact that, hey, why risk anything right now? The other thing Duke talked about was, like today, Jamar Chase did not really participate in practice. And then tomorrow, I guess they're going to hold T. Higgins out while Jamar takes part of practice. So kind of working those guys, letting those guys get back in their groove at their kind of a different pace, their own pace. But it was great to see guys, the young guys, the Mims and those guys get on the field and kind of see him in person. And I know the fans that were standing around me, they were excited to see him. Their eyeballs were coming out. They couldn't believe how big this young man is.
Oh yeah, he's got all the traits. There's no question about it. And there's nothing wrong with him getting all the reps or more reps even than maybe he anticipated day one at training camp as well, because these young guys, I mean, that's what Zach was talking about. He said, we're gonna take it easy on the veteran players. We know what they can do. They are going to be given rest during the course of the early stages of training camp when there are 3 practices in a row. So these young guys are going to get their opportunity to get ready for Tampa Bay for that first preseason game and get ready for the joint workouts in the preseason games 2 and 3 against the Chicago Bears and the Indianapolis Colts. So it's, the philosophy is we know what these veteran players can do. We want to make sure that the young guys get every opportunity to show their skill set and what they can do, give them a fair chance to make the football team. And so that's the way they're approaching it. Yeah, T. Higgins, I should say, Jamar Chase today was in a supporting role with his teammates. He was, really boosting them and, giving them words of confidence and things of that nature. And he was kind of a team cheerleader as such for his teammates. And Joe Burrow made a great point in his presser after practice. He said that going back to college, he and Jamar Chase have been together for all but 10 games when Joe was a rookie and Jamar was still at LSU. I mean, he said they've been together forever. So that their rhythm and timing is something that is all it has to do is be dusted off. I mean, it's embedded. And T. Higgins feels the same way. He's been with Joe Burrow now. This will be going into the 5th year with Joe Burrow. They were the first and second round picks together with the Bengals. And, they've obviously the games that they've missed is when one or both of them have been injured. So there's time on task there. There are a lot of reps that have been put away and can be recalled and resurrected. So I think the Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, I think they're all going to have big years. I mean, T. Higgins was talking about the fact that he's kind of an introverted guy, and he doesn't like all the drama, and that's why he talked to a long talk with his agent. I just want to sign the contract, the 1 year franchise tag, and get into camp. He said, I grew up with nothing. $22 million is life-changing money. I know there's more out there, but the thing is, I think it's very sound thinking on his part. Just go in there, and the best thing to do is have a big year, and then your leverage is even that much greater. So I think that they're positioning themselves to have a phenomenal year throwing the football.
All right, we got to talk about it. I've had the pleasure of knowing Joe Burrow since he was a junior in high school, having covered his high school career and his recruitment and all that stuff. The last time I put it on my Twitter, the last time I saw him with hair like this was his senior year at the state championship game when him and a bunch of his teammates did the blonde look. But I'd never seen it as short as he has it this year. Talk about I think everybody was wanting to see Joe Burrow's new haircut in person today that was at practice.
Yeah, not only the haircut, but the dye, I mean, it's bleach blonde. And everybody was asking if it was a tribute to Eminem because he's a big Eminem fan. And, he said no. He referenced exactly what you said, Dave. He said it goes back to high school, and we did it as a team as we were in the district championship game, and so he said, I'm trying to bring back some of that mojo, So and then it was asked, is this going to be a long-term thing? Probably not, he said. And then he said he had to make an adjustment from a sweating standpoint. He didn't quite sweat as much underneath the helmet with less hair. But with less hair, it was a little bit of an adjustment as well. So, tweaking a few things, but he changed a whole bunch of things in the off season, his workouts, his hair, and all I can say is, Dave, there's a ton of barbers that are going to be very, very busy here in the next few days before kids go back to school, and a bunch of kids are going to be back to school with a short haircut that's going to be blonde. And these barbers are going to make quite a bit of money by, cutting color. I think there's going to be thousands of young kids in this region that are going to be, mimicking Joe Burrow.
Yeah, you probably have a couple grandkids will be doing that as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're in the trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. We're doing a call with Lap after today's first season opening practice of training camp, and Dave, we sit there. What I love is all the new guys. Now, like I said, I had a chance to listen to Duke Tobin. He's excited about the new guys they brought in, the Geno Stones and the Mike Gesickis and so forth. Really liked what I saw from Mike Gesicki on the field today, just his route running, the wingspan he's got, everything that he brings to the table. It's been a while since the Bengals have had a guy kind of like him, probably going back to Tyler Eifert.
Yeah, that that big target, that big catch radius is so obvious. I mean, he's long and he's tall, he's long, he's a heck of a weapon in the middle of the football field. I mean, it looks like the Eiffel Tower as the Olympics in Paris are coming up here. It looks like the Eiffel Tower in the middle of the football field. I mean, he gives a great deal of comfort to quarterbacks in that regard, and he's been phenomenal with the contested catch. It's something that with the physical attributes he has, and his eye-hand coordination and his ability to run routes, get in and out of cuts. I mean, he's a true weapon. There's no question about it. And I think Joe Burrow is very, very excited about what Gesicki can bring to the football team this year. There's no doubt.
You mentioned it. We're not that far away. August 10th, the Bengals take on Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the opening preseason game. Talk about, do you see in the past players like a Joe Burrow and so forth? One, Joe's missed time because of injuries or emergency surgeries and so forth. But do you see this season? I got the feeling today that and they've kind of talked about it, that guys are going to probably take more of a role during preseason than what they have in the last couple years. Do you see that coming when? Maybe not so much against Tampa Bay, but when they get those extra practices as well against Chicago and Indianapolis before those preseason games?
Yeah, I asked Zach Taylor that very question at his presser today, and I asked Joe Burrow as well. Joe said we'll have to see, and Zach said I'm not prepared to answer that until we're in camp for a few more days and we talk about it a little bit more. Joe said it hasn't been talked about in terms of how much playing time, but I do think there will be playing time. And I asked if it was going to be related to those joint practices, up in Chicago and against the Indianapolis Colts for the last 2 weeks. Is it kind of fluid based on how many reps and how physical those joint practices are? And neither party, wanted to address it. It hasn't been, I guess, discussed super thoroughly at this point in time. But there is obviously indications that they are going to take the football field. And it's just a matter of how many snaps, how many reps. Is it going to be just a series? Is it going to be a quarter? Will it be a little bit more than that? Will it be based on, the type of performance they have if they play up in Chicago? If they have a really good performance, will they back off against the Indianapolis Colts? Or if they don't have a very good performance up in Chicago, will it be more playing time against the Indianapolis Colts? I mean, these are all the kind of things that they need to talk through as a coaching staff, as an organization, and they weren't prepared to answer that part of it. And at this point in time, which is totally understandable because, it should be fluid, it should be in flux. because it is only day one of training camp and underwear ball. So they get miles to go before they rest in making those decisions for sure.
You talked about leadership. One thing I noticed today watching practice was you can tell who is the alphas of this team. You see Joe Burrow, you see Jamar Chase, you see Sam Hubbard. Those guys, they've earned the respect of their teammates.
Yeah, there's no doubt, Dave. And honestly, those guys are, at the top of the pyramid, but there is a leadership pyramid. And I think that's really the best teams that I've played on. It should be something where, there are more leaders than non-leaders. I mean, everybody wants a little bit of a piece of the pie in terms of stepping up and showing some leadership. There's nothing wrong with having a myriad of leaders on both sides of the football, but there is going to be obviously at the top of the pyramid the alpha dogs, and you've identified them. But I do think Zach has introduced this committee of players that he meets with on a very frequent basis, and it's not just the guys that are elected captains or co-captains. It's a good number of players on the football team, and he'll rotate those players, and then he'll have them all in there together, and he'll meet with a couple of three individual. I mean, that's obviously one of the big things that Zach has done from a culture standpoint, and I do think that is the biggest variable. That's the biggest intangible. The guys have bought in. This football team realizes it's their football team. Zach has communicated that. It's when the players are driving the bus, that's the way it should be. And I think that's when success is right around the corner. I think there's no question about that. This football team has a bunch of good players with high character, and that combination, I think, can lead you a long way.
All right, Dave, before we let you go here, got to ask you, how different is the start of training camp in 2024 compared to when you played?
Oh, my goodness. Kenny Anderson and Willie Anderson were both there at training camp. And I spend this today, and I spent a little bit of time with both of them. Kenny and I were thinking back to the Forrest Gregg days. And it was like, okay, man, it's full pads. Here we go. Full pads in the morning, and we're going to emphasize the running game. Full pads in the afternoon, and it'll be the passing game. And there's live pass rush for you offensive linemen, one-on-one, as well as twists and stunts and all that sort of thing. And in day 3, we got the nutcracker drill, one-on-one drills, everybody, not just linemen. Everybody's going to be going and participating in the nutcracker drills. I mean, boy, I remember one year we had a live goal line scrimmage in our very first practice in the morning. And, we had a problem on the goal line in the playoffs, and Forrest Gregg was upset about that. And he said, that'll never happen again on my watch. Goal line scrimmage live right now. And I mean, it was like we warmed up, jogged around the field, and blew his whistle, brought us to the goal line. All right, man, this will never happen again. Goal line scrimmage live. Here we go. And it was like, man, rigor mortis set in. I woke up the next morning, couldn't move your neck, your shoulder. It was like, this is crazy. And you look at it today, and it's so much smarter the way they handle everything. But interestingly enough, Dave, man, guys weren't missing games. I mean, I don't know. I think from a football standpoint, it's not only the strength of lifting weights and all that, but we talked about the tendons and ligaments and all the things that have to connect and the push-pull of football. Like guys are football strong, like Tim Crumry is a great example. He wasn't like an Olympic weightlifter, but this guy had, unbelievable push-pull, ligament, tendon strength because of wrestling and football. And that's part of the conditioning as well. So, I think it's pretty interesting. If you don't do some of that, I think that's part of the problems you may have in your early season is your body is not football ready yet for the push-pull aspect of the game.
Great plug there, Lap, because we got a chance to spend some time with the incoming member of the Bengals Ring of Honor, Tim Crumry, this week at the First Star Logistics Studios. And what a pleasure to be around that guy, a guy that I got to watch, growing up play. And, he's just, you talk about ultimate competitor. I think the man, and better than anybody, competes at everything he does.
He does. I mean, he does not know the definition of quit. He doesn't even want to hear it. I mean, it's like he was and is the most unbelievable worker, tremendous work ethic. I mean, nobody was going to do more to prepare himself mentally and physically to get ready for the game of football than Tim Crumry. And, we were talking back and forth about the battles. My last year at the Bengals was his rookie year. And man, I mean, practices were like games. And, I said, boy, you made me better. He said, well, you made me better too, kind of thing. And it was, guys were like, what's going on with you guys? It was like, this guy wants to go like it's Sunday. And honestly, Dave, a lot of Sundays were like, oh man, this is a vacation compared to going, Wednesday live team with Tim Crumry, and then Friday goal line short yard, Wednesday and Thursday live team, and then short yardage and goal line on Friday, getting ready for the Saturday game. I mean, shoot, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it was like that was game on, man. It was crazy. He was an unbelievable football player and human being.
One of the things I love about the start of training camp is the guys who you and I both know are fighting just to try to find a place in the National Football League. And today, after practice, they came over and signed some autographs for some of the people in the VIP tent, and guys like Cole Burgess and Rocky Lombardi come over. And their battle to make this team is a steep road to climb. It's going to take a lot for them to be part of the Cincinnati Bengals by the time the season starts. But the look in their eyes and the excitement to come over and interact with fans, you have to love that part of training camp.
Absolutely. I just remember, as a rookie, it's like there are no guarantees for any of these young players. And man, it's an unbelievable, a lot of nights was tough to go to sleep. It's like, man, particularly when it was cut down day, when when you wake up the next morning, when you're going to go look to see if you're still competing or not, man, there's a lot of pressure that goes along with that. And, dreams can be broken, and you wake up from a dream very quickly and it ends up being a nightmare, unfortunately, so it's an unbelievable adrenaline rush. There's no question. Trying to make an NFL football team, an adrenaline rush on a very regular basis.
He is Dave Lapham. You've been in the trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics, part of the First Star Media Group. Lap, any final thoughts on day one before we let you go?
Well, when you look at it, Dave, in every football team that's day one of training camp, everybody's undefeated. Everybody's looking forward to an extremely successful season. But I'm looking at the depth of the roster of this football team. And like we talked about before, if you can keep number 9 healthy, the last 5 years, his senior year at LSU, he won the Heisman, and they won the national championship. The 2 years that he's played, the balance of the games in the 2 seasons, they go to the Super Bowl and they go to the AFC Championship game. 2 seasons where he didn't, they weren't as successful. It is all about keeping that young man upright and healthy, and this football team has a lot of weapons, has a lot of depth. I think it's a very, very solid football team, and I do think that they realize what could be the potential of this football team. And now it's just a matter of don't take it for granted. Go out and work. And don't think, okay, I've arrived. That's not the case. And even if you're a veteran player, if you go to training camp with the mindset, I got to make this football team again, and then that'll get you working. And then as the season, you do make the team and the season gets underway, now you're in the right mindset, and 1 week at a time, you just keep grinding, man. I'm excited for these guys. I think they're going to be pretty good.
You can find Dave Lapham in the Trenches, presented by First Star Logistics, on YouTube at Dave Lapham in the Trenches channel, or also on the First Star Media Group channel, or wherever you get your podcast from. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channels to help us continue to grow. It's hard to believe, but this is season 4 with us doing In the Trenches together, and I can't thank you enough for letting me be a part of it.
Well, Dave, I'll tell you what, you talk about somebody that is committed and is a worker. nobody's got a better work ethic than Dave Berk, and it's been a pleasure, Dave, and enjoyed every minute of it.
Be sure to check out Dan Pitcher, already up on the YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcast from. And coming up tomorrow, which is going to be Thursday, this is Wednesday, July 24th, but on the 25th, we will have one with pass game coordinator Justin Riscotti. Talks a lot about the quarterback play and what's going on with the Bengals offense as training camp opens. Dave, as always, appreciate the time. We can't thank enough the people at First Star Logistics for everything they do for us. They'll help us bring you some of the best Bengals coverage on the internet.
Yeah, much appreciated. Everybody at First Star Logistics, it's first class. Everything they do for us is first class. And I'll tell you, we couldn't do it without them. That's for darn sure, Dave. And we really do appreciate them giving us the opportunity that they've given us.
Be sure to stay with us during training camp. Lap and I will be talking off and on, and you want to catch those episodes. Until next time, Hoo-day.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.